Hello all. Today I'm going to be doing proofs by definition for even and odd integers. First, let's go over our definitions of even and odd. For even, we have to let a be an integer. If a is an even integer, then a equals 2k for some k integer. Now for odd, it is quite similar, except we have a equaling 2k plus 1 for some integer k. Now I thought we could start off with a basic example. If you think you know it, feel free to pause now and check your answers. We have if x is even and y is odd, then x plus y is odd. This part is our hypothesis, and that's our conclusion, or what we're trying to prove. And you always want to assume that your hypothesis is true. So first, let's start off by saying let x and y be integers, because that's needed. Do you have that part? Did you get that far? Okay. Now we're assuming our hypothesis. Assume that x is even and y is odd. Then by definition of even and odd numbers. Now, if you get this far, since we assume that x is even, what do we know based on our definition? Well, we can set x equal to 2k, and since we know y is odd, we can set y equal to 2k plus 1. So that is our definition. X equals 2k, but don't forget to say for some k that is an integer, and y equals 2. And I'm not going to use k because that would get confusing unless you want to sub them off like 2k1, 2k2. But let's just use m for right now. But you also have to make sure to say that m is an integer as well. Now we have x plus y equals 2k plus 2m plus 1. Now, this last part of the proof is really when you get to this point of substituting in, manipulating your answer to look similar to what you need. So in this case, we want to prove that it is odd. And we know that the definition of odd looks like this. So how can we put this in a form that looks like that? You might already see the answer, you might already know the answer, but for those who don't, let me manipulate a little bit. So it's going to be 2k plus m plus 1. Now, since k and m are integers, them added together creates a whole new integer, assumedly. Therefore, it matches our definition. All we said is that k has to be an integer. So now, just make sure to formally name that it is an integer as well. Now, all we have to do is write our conclusion. Thus, x plus y is odd. Now, let's do something a little more complex now that we have the basics down. You can see that our first part of the hypothesis is exactly the same to the problem that we just did. So you should be able to write the first few sentences of the proof down. Feel free to pause, stop, and see if we get matching answers. But I'm going to hop right into it. So let x and y be integers. Assuming our hypothesis, assume x is even and y is odd. Then, by definition of even and odd numbers, we have x equal 2k for some k, and that E sign just means it belongs in, for some k, and y, let's use m again, for some m integer. Were you able to get up to this part? Okay, now we have to substitute them in to what we want to prove. So 5x plus xy minus y squared. What we know is 5x, x can be substituted for 2k, which similarly we have 2k multiplied by 2m plus 1 minus 2m plus 1 squared. Now, whenever I have something like that, I could maybe do it in my head, but just to be safe, let's just do the work up here. Let's do 2m plus 1, 2m plus 1. You should get 4m squared plus 4m plus 1. Let's not forget to distribute that negative sign. So when we drag this out longer, we'll do that. So now to just multiply everything out, we have 10k plus 4km plus 2k minus our 4m cubed minus our 4m minus 1. Now, we have minus 1 there. We need to have it plus 1 so it can match our definition from earlier. And we can take our 2's out of this part, which make things a little easier. But how can we manipulate this, you think, so that we can have that plus 1 there? Well, there's a trick you could do where we can add 1 and plus 1. Because really, that doesn't do anything to the overall value, because that is just basically adding 0. But instead, we can have those be equivalent to -2, which then when we take out 2 of everything, 2 5k, 2km plus k minus 2m cubed minus 2m minus 1 plus 1. Now this is a form we recognize because this is all a integer. And this looks exactly like our definition from earlier. So all we have to do is thus 5x plus xy minus y squared is odd. Hope you made it to the end. I hope this helps with your perspective tests, homework, whatever you're working on. If you have any questions, put them below and feel free to help each other out. Thank you so much for mathing with me today. Bye now.